Hey, mister, you dropped your penis. Eek the cat is a real cocksucker. And I know what you're thinking. How the hell did someone find a lost episode of Eek the cat? Well, you'll be screaming eek in horror when you reach the end of this terrible tale, as the twist ending to the lost episode is going to absolutely shock and horrify you. I initially acquired the tape by contacting Nelvana, also known around these parts as the Bear Studio, because the logo has a picture of a bear. The response horrified me. The secretary told me that no one talks about the missing episode of Eek the Cat. Episode 76, Eek gets hit by a car. The developers at the studio were kicking around a few ideas before, as the legend goes. One producer insisted that Eek must die in the final episode, as he was constantly afraid of death, hence his name. In the final episode, he was supposed to permanently die to teach children that they shouldn't fear death. That doesn't make any sense. Supposedly, the lost episode was too dark because the director actually started to become afraid of the animation he was creating, and the voice actors resigned before episode 76 ever aired. Probably because it sucked. The episode doesn't start as normal. Doesn't start as normal at all. In fact, he gets hit by a car immediately. You see the blood, guts, and inner organs splattering the sidewalk in a graphic, violent fashion. Eek doesn't scream. He doesn't even see the car coming. And that's it. Eek is dead. No sound, no voice work, nothing. Just a still screen of the fat purple cat's inner guts splattering the sidewalk like a Rorschach painting. After some time, it seems like the guts start to move around and form a smiley face. This was disturbing. You hear mumbling in the background, mumbling and crying, mumbling and screaming. Eek the cat was dead. I immediately was on the phone with Nelvana, and the woman on the other line started to cry. Eek's dead, she cried. Eek's dead? Oh, she continued to cry, and then the cry turned to laughter, and she hung up the phone. What the hell was going on? Mumbled. That was when I saw the man in the fat purple catsuit at my window. I had to rub my eyes a few times because I couldn't believe it was real.
I heard you found the lost episode of Eek the Cat.
He screamed and squealed with delight. Well, yes, I had found it, but I never expected this.
I'm here to help you deal with your deepest, darkest secret, the thing you fear the most.
He started to break the pins holding the window secure and forced his way into my home. But this was my fear. I started to sob uncontrollably. My fear was that Eek the cat was dead, and he is. They killed him. They killed you.
Everybody dies,
Eek the cat exclaimed.
but at least we get to die together, like best friends forever.
He reached in for a hug, and it was a great big ol' hug, like a bear hug, not a cat hug. The frilly whiskered feline smiled a gold-hearted grin and slowly began to dig knife-like dagger claws into my arms and legs. He invited me into the bathroom and turned on the faucet. The water faucet. Wait a minute. Cats are afraid of water. He filled the water up to the top of the tub and then led me toward it.
I want to show you that there's nothing to be afraid of.
The man in the cat suit led me over to the bathtub and pushed my head in the water. Eek, the cat must have weighed 300 pounds. The full weight of his body began to crush my bones and internal organs. I could feel the water entering my lungs. It was blissful, but also painful. As the alveoli began to rupture, I suddenly realized the cat was trying to kill me.
Nothing to be afraid of.
The purple cat smiled and smiled at me, mumbling. This is the part in the story where you realize the friendly stranger isn't so friendly at all. I tried to get up, but he grabbed me, and his outright disheveled face, crooked whiskers, his eyes started to turn blood red, and the hollow holes of the puppet costume started to leer. Eek! I screamed. His claws dug into me. With one final struggle, I managed to push him back, and he slammed against the shitty tiles. Oh, I was out of breath. Eek the cat was trying to kill me. He paused and smiled. Who are you? I screamed.
I'm Eek the cat.
He smiled and took out an ID badge that clearly said Eek the cat and a picture of him from the DMV. How could this be?
I was trying to teach you a lesson.
He smiled.
About how there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Nothing to fear but fear itself.
He started to back away, walking backwards toward the door, the costume smiling. Hey, wait a minute, I screamed. And then he started to sing half-heartedly.
Don't touch strangers and never should all. They might try to drown you.
He started to dance, kicking up his cat paws, dancing, trying to teach me a lesson, allegedly. But it wasn't a lesson. If anything, he needed singing lessons. Mumbling. He put his hand on his forehead, and the camera seemed to zoom in. But this was real life. There was no camera.
We always had this secret bond, Ernesto.
My name wasn't Ernesto.
Ever since we were children, we had these super secret telekinetic powers. The ability to read minds.
I couldn't tell if he was whispering or if this was a voice in my head. Who are you? I screamed.
I'm Eek the cat.
Squealed, put on a birthday party hat, and started blowing on a kazoo. He explained to me that Eek the cat was an alchemist from another dimension, and he came here years ago, but was quickly killed by a motor vehicle. And the remaining individuals tried to reassemble his body, and this is where the popular Christ myth originated. He told me Jesus, or Jesus if you prefer, was a cat. Eek the cat was the Messiah. That was why he died and was born again. Eek was Jesus. It's true. It was all true. If you rearrange the letters in the name Ezekiel, you get kills a Eek. A deep anagram for the birth and death of Eek, our almighty messianic Christos God. This was horrifying.
We went back in time.
The puppet smiled. It was a sinister smile, and I couldn't tell if he was telling the truth. It was soaking wet from the water, and as time progressed, the eyes of the puppet seemed to be collapsing and deteriorating. Eek the cat, or the prophet Jesus, was an alchemist, and he came here to turn our leaden hearts into gold. He explained to me that in the year 2200, the cat population, Felinus Felidae, had formed their own social hierarchy, and their age of science and reason was crushed when a truly terrible tabby cat named Arbuck Garfield entered the picture and began committing genocide upon all cats that didn't have orange tabby fur. Garfield, he explained, was our version of Hitler, and our version of Hitler was the primate version. Made sense.
And that's why we shit in boxes,
Eek said.
We're civilized. Primates like you shit in trees.
I asked him about indoor plumbing, and he ignored the question. He told me that there's a god and a devil inside all of us, and if you're not careful, the devil may start to look like the god or vice versa.
That's why we use the VHS tape.
He zithered. Zither in Philinus Philidae means to speak something with great trepidation.
A rectangular plastic box with two wheels inside. It's primitive, it cross dimensions, it represents who you truly are. Primitive, simply-minded, serotonin-induced pile of carbon, shooting and feeding and bleeding and attacking and mumbling your established rank order. Little parrots. We pity you.
Little did Eek know I was on the phone phoning the police. But what about the prophecy involving the John Arbuckle of the Church of Latter-day Saints?
The Church of Arbuckle of Latter-day?
Okay, I stopped listening. He bought it. Yes, officer, I whispered. A strange man in a catsuit. A liar. An exaggerator in a catsuit. I hung up the phone. They were on their way. He slowly ejected the VHS tape and appeared to conceal it in his ass. Made sense.
The simplest objects are the ones across dimensions, easiest. For example, the Mickey Mouse head in your dimension resembled a cartoon mascot. In our dimension, it's the equivalent of the swastika.
And what's the equivalent of the swastika in your dimension? I asked. He paused, frozen like a deer in the headlights. He had some note cards out and he started looking through them.
I just came here as an alchemist, the Christ God, to transmute your leaden hearts into gold.
Well, that was when the police arrived. The officer pulled a gun on him, and he dropped the VHS and was quickly cuffed.
We've been looking for this creep for years,
the bushy mustache police officer said.
Creep the cat.
Yep, he laughed. We've been looking for this creep for years. The police officers pulled several VHS tapes from Eek the Cat's purple cartoon asshole. Violet cartoon asshole. Eek the Cat started to cry as the officer removed the cat helmet and led him over to the police car. That was until a car quickly drove by, hitting him and killing him before anyone could identify the body. No dental records either. The tire had completely crushed and dilapidated his skull. No eyes, no fingerprints, just a splat of blood and organs of indeterminate origin, and he was gone. Like catsup on a hot dog. Like red on a flower. But some species can't see the red of a flower, and others can see much more vivid reds. A few days later, I heard a voice.
I'm still here, Ernesto.
It was a disembodied voice. I told it to shut up. I didn't want to watch Eek the Cat anymore.
Remember that God and the devil thing I told you? While we were both committing suicide in the bathroom.
What on earth was he talking about? I never commit suicide.
I said to be careful, because if you're not, the angels will start to become devils, and the devils will look like angels. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and I'm not just saying that because my internal organs were spread all over your front door a few days ago.
I should have believed him. Maybe he was telling the truth. Even lies are truths in a way, since they say something about the person that's true, and not the person or a cat. A few days later, I decided to go and get the mail when I saw him behind my garbage can. He's never been loved. Eek, the cat, never been loved, but I love him. Give him some milk, put him in a bird cage, his ghost-like visage. Told him that I loved him, always will. There's nothing to fear, but I was lying. But I had some truth to it, as I didn't feel too bad about it all. He told me about how soon feline Felidae would come back to remove the remaining Cro-Magnons, and how he was Satan incarnate, and he would eat my face, and I cuddled him for a bit. Yeah, he tried to slit my throat one night, but I gave him some catnip. He stopped. Who cares? 888 episodes. The usual cast and crew walked in. Old George Jetson, who now has a thick white beard because he's old. The toilet dog seat from Pee-wee's Playhouse. Yeah, the self-loathing in human form. Comic Sans. A broken syringe filled with STDs. The Harlem Globetrotters. Gary Coleman, a big bag of hot and salted mixed nuts. Happy 888! They laughed. Oh, they remembered all the lost episode characters. Bob Saget, some guy that looked like Martin Lawrence, Shrek, a couple I didn't recognize, who I later found out were FBI moles. Happy 888 from all your friends. They squealed and they took out a big cup of fruit punch. I don't remember having any friends or fruit punch. Well, they all drank it and died. The corpses of George Jetson, the seven dwarves, a variety of Hispanic men that didn't have anything to do with this, but got caught in the act. Fred Flintstone burped up a clamshell pacemaker. Dr. Robotnik's tongue sloped to one side, and Alphonse Ribeiro, played Carlton on The Fresh Prince, had a disembodied head that was floating around my room. Business as usual.
This was supposed to be the Eek the Cat Creepypasta.
Eek the Cat Creepypasta, but it was too late. They were dead. Some say it's irrelevant, meaningless, like we're all just playing some fucking cat and mouse game. Eek the Cat walked in and started screaming in horror. He kept screaming, "Eek!" He squealed and batted with his paw. "Eek!" He screamed. The dead bodies were giving him a panic attack. He screamed and squealed, and he was giving me a heart attack. No more lost episodes. This is real life. I am real life. He kept screaming and screaming that he was Eek the Cat. It was just sound like nails on chalkboard. He just kept screaming. Well, that was when my doorbell rang. A man in a spacesuit named John Arbuckle was on the other side. Could it be? John Arbuckle? The John Arbuckle of the popular Garfield religion? The field, as we called it in the biz. A loud sound emitted. The suit depressurized, and he smiled at me. It was John Arbuckle from the comic strip Garfield. Hello, distant human. I'm a traveler of the cosmos, not merely man, but belt buckle Arbuckle. He clutched his lapel. John Arbuckle. He smiled and took out a cosmic ray gun and shot Eek the Cat in the head, and he exploded into a malformed mass of purple fur and broken dreams. Do you know how many cat shows there are? It's me. I put myself in the comics as a hint, for I am Arbuckle, keeper of the litter box. He reached out to shake my hand and informed me that another cat show would appear, because they're infinite. Tubbles the Cheshire, Mr. Bubbles, the curious feline, Sudso, the unbathable tabby, Garfield, and of course Eek, who tried to give me a heart attack. Tried to. Yeah, I told him I wouldn't tell anyone, and what he said next shocked me. No one would believe you anyway, asshole. I can't believe John Arbuckle said asshole. He pushed the lost episode bodies into the base of the ship to burn them for fuel. His ship. A giant coffee cup with rocket thrusters. He rode off into the sunset laughing and throwing lasagna. Laughing at me. Flinging lasagna. So much lasagna. Nothing is real. Mumbling.